"Ma'am, you need to put that box down and step away from the property." That's what the officer said, hand drifting toward his holster like he was bracing for trouble. Never mind that I was just standing there on the porch with a cardboard box full of kitchen towels, trying to catch my breath, thinking this was supposed to be my new beginning. Instead, 3 squad cars lined the gravel drive, blue and red lights flickering through the pines, and a pack of neighbors standing back just far enough to pretend they weren't all there to watch the show. Out front was a woman in huge sunglasses, clutching a clipboard like it was a warrant. She didn't bother with small talk. She just pointed straight at me, said, "This woman doesn't belong here. She's violating HOA regulations." That was my first run-in with Darlene Granger, self-appointed queen of Lawn Lake, and she'd already decided I was guilty. I froze. Who wouldn't? She kept on, telling the officer, "The property's not registered as a full-time residence. We already reported her." I tried to explain that I owned the place now, inherited it fair and square, but Darlene just shook her head like she was shutting a case. The cop looked at me, asked for ID, said I'd need to come down and clear things up. That's when I realized this wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a setup. You ever have a day so upside down you wonder if you woke up in somebody else's life? That was me, Sarah Whitaker, 43, burned-out night shift nurse from Ohio, standing on the porch of my late Uncle Frank's cabin, the only place that had ever felt like home. Frank and I, we were tight. Summers fishing off the dock, late nights talking by the fire. He got me in a way my own parents never really did. When he died, he left me the cabin. I'd scrimped and saved for 6 months, finally packed up my life, and drove down winding back roads, hoping for peace. What I got instead was a front-row seat to the ugliest side of small-town politics. See, Lawn Lake had always been quirky, but since Frank passed, the HOA changed hands. New board, new rules, and a new sheriff in town, Darlene. She'd lived there 3 years, wore sneakers like she was always mid-power walk, treated HOA meetings like Supreme Court hearings. She hated outsiders. She wanted the whole place to look like a magazine spread, and people like me didn't fit her vision. My first morning at the cabin, the air smelled like pine and freedom. I unloaded books, bedding, and a little ceramic owl Frank had given me for graduating nursing school. A white SUV rolled by slow, someone on the phone, eyes fixed on me. Then, 2 more cars crept past. 10 minutes later, flashing lights, my welcome committee. Darlene stormed up, heels clacking, clipboard ready to attack. "This is private property," I told her, trying to stand tall. "I've got the deed." She smiled like a shark. "Until we verify that and your intent to live here full-time, you're in violation of Article 6, Section 2. I blinked, speechless. "Those aren't laws," I said. "They're rules," she replied. "And if you want to live here, you'll follow them." The cop stepped closer for my ID, and that's when I remembered my license still said Cleveland. My heart thudded in my ears. Then the officer's radio crackled. Another cop whispered with Darlene's husband. Everyone seemed in on something I couldn't see. I heard Darlene mutter, "Get her out before she settles." After 48 hours, she's harder to remove legally. That's when I realized I wasn't just fighting for a cabin. I was up against a system. Just then, a familiar red truck barreled up. Out stepped Henry, Uncle Frank's best friend, retired Navy, tough as nails. He cut through the crowd like he owned the place, jabbed a finger at Darlene, and said, "You're harassing Frank's niece? The HOA isn't the law, officer. She has every right to be here." Just having Henry at my side felt like breathing again. Darlene stammered about forms and declarations, but Henry cut her down. "Your charter doesn't override county law." The cop finally nodded, told me to fetch my deed. Darlene's husband slunk back to the SUV. It was just me, Henry, and Darlene, whose smile had curdled into vinegar. I handed over my paperwork. The officer looked it over, then gave a sheepish nod. "You're good, Miss Whitaker. Sorry for the inconvenience." The younger cop even managed a welcome to Lawn Lake. Darlene wasn't done. She hissed, "She still needs to fill out HOA forms." I said, "After I unpack and settle into my home." And just like that, the police left, the crowd faded. Henry stayed behind, helped me carry boxes inside. Out of sight, I finally let myself exhale. If you hadn't shown up, she'd have steamrolled you, Henry said. That's how she works. Finds someone to fine for a pink flamingo, bans wind chimes, calls them noise hazards. It's not about rules. It's about control. Uncle Frank had never mentioned Darlene. She moved in after he got sick, Henry told me. Wouldn't dare mess with him. You're not leaving, are you? He asked. Absolutely not. Good. She's not done. He was right. On day 4, a folded notice appeared under my wiper. Violation. Failure to comply with community residency standards. Vacate within 48 hours or face legal action. I sighed. Game on. I decided to face the beast head-on and went to the next HOA meeting. The community hall was full of folding chairs and old-timers. Darlene stood at the podium in a pink suit, beaming. We have an ongoing concern, she announced, eyes flicking to me. An unauthorized resident. The crowd tensed. I raised my hand. She sneered. We're not doing QA, Miss Whitaker. Then I'll speak anyway, I said, voice shaking but loud. I inherited that cabin. I own it. I intend to live there peacefully. This isn't about paperwork. It's about control, and I won't be controlled. For a second, the room was silent. Then, an older man up front said, She's right. She's saying what most of us think. Murmurs, then someone else. Maybe it's time we revisit these rules. Darlene turned crimson. Henry smiled from the back. Just like that, cracks formed in her kingdom. But she wasn't finished. 2 days later, I woke to my no trespassing sign ripped out and a giant orange sticker on my door. Occupancy under investigation, HOA enforcement. Darlene and a man in a suit waited in the driveway. We're escalating this, she sneered. Hope you have a good lawyer. Behind me, Henry's voice. Good thing she does. Standing next to him was Linda McCrae, my new attorney, sharp-eyed, unflappable. She marched up, ripped the sticker off, and told Darlene, You just made a very big mistake. This is harassment, and it's on video. Darlene sputtered, but the process server handed Linda the HOA's official complaint. Linda grinned. Perfect. See you in court. Darlene backed off, shaking, and left. Linda reviewed every so-called violation. All smoke and mirrors, she said. They're just hoping to scare you. That night, I cooked dinner for Henry and Linda, grateful for allies. The days got a little easier. Neighbors who'd once avoided me started waving. Patty, across the lake, brought muffins and gossip. Curtis, the guy next door, fixed my back stairs without asking. Turns out, Darlene had driven out other families too. People like her get power because no one wants the storm, Patty whispered. You stood tall. That shook her. But Darlene kept swinging. One morning, I woke to smoke. My fire pit was ablaze, patio chairs burning, flames licking the trees. Curtis ran over with a fire extinguisher. The fire chief told me. This was no accident. Someone used lighter fluid. I looked across the street. Darlene was watching, mug in hand, smirking. Henry and Linda came running. You have security footage? Linda asked. I nodded. We went straight to the sheriff's office, filed an arson report, handed over everything. The sheriff promised to follow up, but I could see hesitation. Darlene had deep roots. That night, Linda said, It's time to go public. We posted our story online. Every detail, police call, threats, fire. It blew up. Support poured in. Reporters called. Neighbors stepped up, brought food, shared stories. At the next emergency HOA meeting, Henry recorded Darlene saying, If she leaves quietly, we don't have to pay legal fees. That recording hit the news. The board started to split. Then came the boldest move. Darlene chained off my dock, posted a sign, dock closed. Property of Lawn Lake Association. As I stared, she sped away in her boat, waving. I grabbed bolt cutters. Henry and Linda backed me up. This was trespassing, plain and simple. But that night, a black SUV rolled into my drive. Out stepped Assistant DA Michael Rowe, badge glinting. We're investigating HOA abuse. Your footage might be central. Would you be willing to testify? I hesitated, scared but determined. Yes, I said. The next day, a formal hearing notice arrived. Not for me, but for Darlene. News trucks descended. Neighbors gathered. One by one, the board fell apart. But Darlene's ally, Margaret Reeves, slid into power, quiet, sharp, more dangerous in her own way. She started with paperwork, violations, inspection threats, legal suits. But Henry found an old HOA rule. With 5 homeowner signatures, we could void board rulings made without a vote. We got the signatures, submitted the petition. Margaret retaliated, filed a suit to fine, evict, silence me. I called for a town hall. The whole community came. I told my story. Neighbors spoke up. Margaret burst in with security guards, but Linda was ready. The state investigator handed Margaret a suspension order. The HOA was shut down, pending a full inquiry. The crowd cheered. I didn't. I had one final card. Turns out, Uncle Frank left an amendment in his will. I could withdraw the property from the HOA entirely. Linda had it filed, notarized, airtight. At the formal hearing, I presented it. The judge declared my cabin independent, no longer you.